Businesses that advertise on BelchertownNews.com have the benefit of an ad that appears on every page that links to their respective websites. Therefore, a link can be interpreted as a portal to potentially unlimited advertising space for that business. Another option is a 30-second spot prior to news videos embedded with different news articles, or an infomercial that can appear in the advertising section. Advertising is not only better on BelchertownNews.com, it is also less expensive than print advertising, allowing you to keep your advertisement going year-round without breaking the bank.
Last week on Thursday, I attended the Town Government Study Committee, held a forum. It was here. This is the second forum they've held. Needless to say, the attendance has been sparse, is not a surprise.
I didn't have it in my calendar. I didn't have it in my calendar.
No. So they had the forum, some good input as far as looking at where our current system is, looking at ways that they can maintain that system, but in a way using technology, because one of the biggest negatives that people had to say was the raising of the hands, that they felt intimidated by the person next to them. And the discussion came out is that the idea of using technology that has the ability of, you have a button, it's a yay or nay vote, that those in favor, those against, that a button could automatically tabulate the things, and if there is an amendment of a motion, it could be made. So, I mean, there was some discussion about that, but the one thing that was clearly across everything was the issue of people not wanting to attend because they don't want to have to raise their hand when the person next to them may be adamantly opposed to something. You know, the idea of the meek shall inherit the earth, not in town meeting they don't. So
So the whole private ballot issue is they found to be a huge deterrent to participation.
well, one of there was a discussion how, you know, there was actually a discussion of actually having a paper ballot where you could vote on things, but the problem is people think town meetings are long now. You go to a paper ballot and have to go to do that, and for instance, the town budget doesn't pass. There has to be an ability for someone to amend a motion. So there was some discussions about the different types of government. People, I would say it was split more towards a slight majority to the open town meeting, but representative meeting got also some discussion on. But the goal of the group that's looking at it now is taking all the input from, you know, the surveys they've done to come back for a final report. I'm hoping, and I will be asking the chairwoman to come forward, chairperson, to come forward to meet with us one more time to get an idea of when the board may see the final report. This is now, I think, 3 years in the making, but the goal of this is to what's best for Belchertown. So, and this week on the 28th, I will be attending another monthly casino task force meeting. So that's it.
You want to tell us about the ZBA meeting?
Oh, I'll be glad to. Okay, the ZBA meeting I attended just before the Town Government Study Committee. The ZBA committee was meeting to follow up on a continuation of the Paxio property. That was continued again. Mr. Paxio was not there, told people in advance he wouldn't be there. What the committee has decided to do is they were going to give Mr. Paxio till November 2nd to file for a variance. If there was no variance filed by the 2nd, then the committee would take under consideration whether or not to grant the special permit, and that is scheduled for November 18th, I believe.
That'd be a third Wednesday.
Yep, at I believe 7 o'clock.
Do they do Wednesdays or Thursdays?
Is it? Thursdays, sorry,
Okay.
so what's the next
It'd
day?
be the 19th. It'd be the 19th, would be the third.
Let me double check that, I
Sure.
thought it was the 18th, they said, but,
Well, I don't think anyone's surprised to hear me say that this has gone on long enough.
right.
That they started this process quite some time ago, and that part of their deliberations included asking town council's opinion on the legality of the application, because there was some question as to whether or not it was even appropriate. They had received some guidance that the use was probably grandfathered, but on further examination of it, our town lawyer said, no, actually it's not. So, in fairness to the abutters, I think it's time for this to come to a conclusion. There's only so many times we can continue and continue and continue. I think at some point we have to make a decision. So thank you for attending that meeting, and please bring that message to them that further delay probably needs to be more clearly.
There were two people, the butters that showed up, they were questioning that they didn't receive proper notification, unlike the previous one, where the initial meeting, where you have to have the butter notices, but this was a continuance, and I don't believe that.
Legally, you're not required to, because if you show up at the meeting, first meeting,
Right, you should know when the continuance.
well, by law, then if there is a continuance, it must be voted on with a date and time certain for the continuance. Anyone in the room would then therefore know it. It is an ongoing problem, because if you miss one meeting, and it continues 3 or 4 times, you don't know when the next one is. So that's the other issue why all town government meetings should try to come to a conclusion.